September 1st, UNC football fans will experience a culture shock when instead of our offense being run, 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 punt, we will be flying all over the place offensively and defensively. Not conservative and safe, but very aggressive, risky, but aggressive, and a definite change for what has been going on in Chapel Hill the last few years. What this video is going to talk about is I'm going to highlight a couple games that I want to. Okay. This summer, I spent a lot of time on philstill.com. Philstill.com is probably the best college football site out there. Like, he has all these relevant stats. He goes in depth about how teams are going to do, and he justifies why teams are going to do that well. Very in depth. And this is what he does. It's college football. He does some NFL stuff too. But it's primarily college football, which to me makes it the best because he has relevant stats everywhere. Recently, he put this feature on there where if you click on any game, like upcoming game like ECU, like UNC, because we are playing them, you can click on the ECU thing and get all the stats from the past 15 years, the matchups, like the yards against the yards for, rushing yards, passing yards, the line spread, whether it was an upset, all that stuff, the turnover margin. And I found some very useful trends in some of our games. So I want to point them out. And also, this video is also me talking about the upcoming football season. I did do this last year. First game I want to point out is the ECU game. And ECU, for me, is not necessarily a big game. I mean, it is a big game, but it's not a rivalry game. It's not, oh my gosh, if we lose, it's going to die. But it's, we gotta win. Because a lot of our friends go to ECU, and we'll never hear the end of it if ECU does beat us. Plus, UNC has probably been favored, and they have been favored the last 3 years, and they should be favored this year going in. There's been no upsets in the last 15 years in this matchup series. When ECU won back in 07, they were favored. Carolina won, I think, 08, 09, 10, and 11. So there's been no upsets in this matchup. Or, wait a minute, I don't think we played in 08, so scratch that. The last 3 years. ECU, when we played ECU, our offense, keep in mind, this is the Shoop offense. The Shoop offense has gotten at least 430 yards each of the past 3 years. And ECU is, don't get me wrong, ECU's got their yards too. Last year they got 490 yards. But the difference between UNC and ECU when we play is that UNC is efficient with its yards. We're getting a lot of yards, and we're getting points for those yards. We scored 35 points last year. We scored 42 points the year before that, and we scored 31 my freshman year. ECU has been 17, 17, 20, which means to me is they're getting a lot of yards, and they're not being efficient with it. Of course, we all know the game was all really over at halftime last year, and a lot of ECU's 490 yards last year were catch-up yards. So nothing, you can't really read into that 490 statistic at all. UNC has had ECU's number with the Sheep offense. So I can only imagine what this Fedora offense is going to do. And while ECU's defense is improving, please, it's still UNC ECU, and the UNC football team does get up for this one. So that game's going to be interesting. Next matchup I want to talk about is Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has always been known as the cream of the crop. They've always been near the top of the ACC. They're very consistent. You could always count on them to do like at least a 10-2 every year. The thing, what amazed me about Virginia Tech, this may not surprise some people, but I think a lot of people will be surprised. In the last 15 years, I want to highlight the last, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 years. VT has never blown out UNC. Because Frank Beamer, their head coach, he's a coach that relies more on a really great defense and special teams to make the difference in his football games. So his offense has never blown us off the field. let's look into some of these games. Um, Last year the score was 24-21. UNC had a 7-0 lead and had every bit of a chance to make that 14-0. But a goal line fumble pretty much changed the momentum of that game and where that game went. UNC was pretty much playing catch up in the fourth quarter. Don't get me wrong, UNC probably had a chance to win too, because that comeback was remarkable given the way that game was going. But UNC, that was self-inflicted wounds. A couple years ago when they played in Chapel Hill, VT beat UNC 26-10. And while that sounds like a blowout, UNC had 6 turnovers, then VT had none. 16 points is a 2-possession lead. UNC had 2 goal line fumbles in that game. And VT could not punish us for the 6 turnovers. It was only 26-10. 2 years ago, we did beat, a few years ago, we did beat them back in Blacksburg. 2017, I don't know what our offense was getting it in spurts. And they were leading VT the entire time. VT had a, I think, 17-14 lead late in the fourth. But UNC's offense calmly marched down the field for game-tying field goal. And then they won the game off of that turnover. The year before that, UNC was leading 17-3 before TJ Yates got injured, and VT was able to rally all the way back. So keep this: Virginia Tech has never been able to blow UNC out, and I'll tell you this: VT is October 6th. Will be a few weeks in the season by now. Our players will have known the system, how it works, and everything. If our offense gets rolling and can score points against VT, now VT is supposed to have a really good defense this year, so that's not guaranteed by any stretch. But if Carolina can get rolling and score some points on VT, VT won't have the horses to keep up. You're hearing it here first. VT is one of those teams next year that will not have the offense to go with us if it gets to a shootout. Next, let's go to State. State. The last 4 years, of course, they've beaten us the last 5 years. But after that 31-27 game 5 years ago, State, all 4 of those years, all the 4 of those outcomes are considered upsets. UNC didn't have a prayer last year. I don't know what happened last year. But the year before that, UNC was pretty much leading the entire game. They played extremely well. But it's something about Butch Davis's conservative philosophy wound up killing us, especially with Russell Wilson on the other end, just converting out ridiculous numbers and stuff. Because we would get the ball and we would get in the field goal range, and then we wanted to kick in field goal. And at some point, you have to realize the other team's going to score a touchdown. Field goals aren't going to cut it. In 2009 and 2010, we couldn't figure that out. 2010, I think we had trying to remember. I think it's 13-10 lead, and then we marched down the field 16-10, marched down the field 19-10, and then I think that Hail Mary came in and made it 19-17. You get what I'm saying? Field goals don't get it done. If you get a chance to punish NC State, you gotta punish NC State. NC State does have a great offense, and if our offense gets rolling, NC State does have the horses to make this a shootout. So we cannot sit there and just be field goal against State. And I don't think Fedora will do that either. If we get into their zone, we gotta make them pay for it. What else? Yeah, 09 and like I said, 09 and 2010, those were a combination of Russell Wilson converting 3rd and 20s, 4th and 20s out of nowhere, and Butch Davis being conservative. And I don't know what happened last year. So I think Fedora will change that. He's bought into this rivalry. It's about time somebody bought into this rivalry, because I'm sick of losing to State. I mean, y'all can keep saying whatever y'all want, but I am sick of losing to State. We got to do it this year. I really hope Fedora changes the culture of this rivalry by giving us a win. Last game I want to highlight on is Georgia Tech. The thing about Georgia Tech that annoyed the heck out of me when I saw their last 15 matchup page was that the last 4 years, actually the last 5, but I'm going to say 4 because I'm going to do the 4 since Paul Johnson has been there with the triple option. The last 4 years, Carolina's allowed at least 406 yards of offense to Georgia Tech every year we played them. But the thing about, and that annoyed me a lot, I don't know if we can change that this year, but what we can change is this. We have, with exception of '07 when he first came to Georgia Tech, we have not been able to put a good lead on Paul Johnson. We have not been able to, like, really pin it to him, try to see what he's really about. Like, give us a 2 possession lead and see what happens. Because I don't think we had one. I think we had a 1 possession lead, but we usually do this one drive early and think we're going to do okay, and then all of a sudden, second quarter belongs to Georgia Tech, and we're out of the picture. We need to start leading, and if we lead for once, I don't think Georgia Tech can keep up. Our offense gets rolling. Georgia Tech is not a good come from behind offense, and also we are facing Georgia Tech during their second half slump usually, and we get 2 weeks to prepare for this. So I think all the ingredients are there for us to beat Georgia Tech. We got to go out there and do that. Those are the 4 games I really want to highlight on. This video's running a whole lot longer than I wanted to. 4 other games that I think we definitely need to look out for is Wake Forest the second week, because I don't remember us playing the ACC that early in a long time. But right out of the gate, as we play Elon, we can feel good about ourselves. We should get a good win. Hopefully it's not a wake-up call week 1. That would suck. Wake Forest will be a wake-up call, because Wake Forest, that's going to be a away game. Wake Forest has an offense that can compete with us. Yeah, we need to watch out. So we're going to definitely be all up, like, foots in the water for Elon, because we're just trying to offense out. We are diving in the water come week 2 for Wake Forest. And then week 3 at Louisville. Louisville's defensive minded. It's going to be hard trying to get a win at Louisville. But if Fedora's offense can get it going and we get points on them, Louisville also doesn't have a competent offense like that. Like, remember the last time we played Louisville, we beat them 14-7. Should have been 14-0, but it was 14-7. So I like our chances there too. Our offense just has to get rolling. Miami, I get scared every time we play Miami. It's just the nature of the Miami game, because Miami thinks they're all that. Miami's supposed to be in rebuilding mode, so we're supposed to be fine. Also, Miami doesn't really have much of a home field advantage, so we should be fine in that respect. But Miami's always scaring me, so we definitely need to look out for that game. And last but not least on my possible trip-up list is the UVA Thursday night game. I think second to last week. Yeah, second to last week of the UNC football season. UVA is supposed to be very improved next year, of course. I think some people are saying that UVA's season last year was a fluke. I personally don't know. But it is a Thursday night, so Scott Stadium will be rocking, and UNC better bring it, because the Cavaliers will love nothing more than to start a brand new streak, as they call it. Of course, the old streak was Carolina not being able to win in Charlottesville since '81. They broke that up in 2010 by blowing them out over there 44-10. So those are all the games on my possible tripped up list. I hope you enjoyed this preview to next year. It's going to be a fun season. I am totally excited. It's about time that we are able to see a competent offense actually try to do something instead of trying to punt every 4 plays. So I am so excited for this year. I will see y'all later. Have a good rest of the summer, y'all.